再给大家说一个可能
Today, I finally got divorced. After months of trying to understand what happened, he threw the truth in my face, and now everything makes sense. I used to think he left me because he found someone prettier, younger, or because, at 32, I had lost my value to him. But it wasn't any of that. I'm going to share with you a male perspective I had never considered before, and maybe you haven't either. He said he left me for 2 reasons, and neither had anything to do with another woman. The first was my coldness. He reminded me of a time, months ago, when he was sick, burning up with a fever, trembling in bed. We were fighting, yes, but I did nothing. I didn't bring him a glass of water, I didn't ask how he was, I just stayed in my corner as if he didn't exist. He told me that day was a turning point for him. That in that moment of weakness, he realized I didn't care. I never imagined it mattered that much to him, but now I understand. When a man is vulnerable and his partner turns her back on him, something inside him breaks. The second reason wasn't a mistress or someone better out there. It was what I did inside our home. He said coming home became a nightmare. I didn't notice it, but every time he walked through the door, I greeted him with questions, accusations, as if he were under interrogation. All because of a betrayal that happened years ago. He admitted it, apologized, cut contact with her, even showed me video calls to prove he was being faithful. But I couldn't let it go. I demanded details, questioned every little thing he said, asked him to repeat the story to see if he changed a single word. He said he spent weeks trying to reassure me, but I never stopped. Every word he said became fuel for more suspicion, and it drained him. He told me, I couldn't take feeling suffocated in my own home anymore. It was like I couldn't breathe, like every day was a test I kept failing. I thought I was protecting myself, but without realizing it, I turned our marriage into a prison for him. He didn't want someone prettier or younger. He wanted peace, a place where he could relax, and I didn't give him that. Now I'm here, alone, staring at the empty walls of what used to be ours. At 29, I feel lost, but not just because he left. It's because I know I helped dig this hole. He said I didn't grow alongside him, that I would become a burden, but maybe the real burden was what I brought into our home. My coldness, my accusations. Today I got divorced, and for the first time I see that it wasn't just him who abandoned me. I also abandoned what we could have been.
The divorce wave has arrived. After the Chinese New Year, the line was long right from the start of the workday at the Civil Affairs Department. Now, let's talk about a phenomenon that has caught attention. The Spring Festival, which should be a time of family union and happiness, ended up showing a completely different scene in some civil affairs departments. As soon as the Civil Affairs Department started working after the Chinese New Year, long lines formed outside. But these people weren't there to get married, they were there for divorce procedures. This scene raises some questions. Why, after the Chinese New Year, does this wave of divorces appear? What social phenomena and problems are hidden behind this? This phenomenon is not an isolated case. In a marriage registration office in Linyi, Shandong, the first workday after the Chinese New Year saw a spike in divorce registrations. About 400 people showed up that day for divorce procedures, while very few came for marriage registrations. The contrast was striking. Some netizens even joked, saying it's possible to marry quickly, but to divorce, you have to wait in line. This is not only happening in Linyi, Shandong. Various civil affairs departments across the country reported similar spikes in divorces after the Chinese New Year. So, what exactly is causing this post-holiday wave of divorces? Several factors are involved. Firstly, from a social perspective, with the rapid economic development and the progress of society, people's views on marriage are also quietly changing. In the past, marriage was seen as a lifelong commitment. Divorce was often regarded as a shame. In many traditional cultures, marriage was seen as the foundation for family and societal stability, and divorce was seen as an escape from familial responsibilities. However, today, the understanding of marriage is more diverse, and expectations of marriage are higher. Modern people value happiness and personal freedom more, and when marriage does not meet these needs, some people choose divorce. This shift in the concept of marriage has led couples, when facing conflicts, to make quicker divorce decisions instead of trying to maintain the relationship as in the past. Secondly, economic pressure is also one of the main factors driving the wave of divorces. During the Spring Festival, family reunions increase, and the tendency for comparison also grows. Some couples have conflicts over financial issues, such as how to manage finances, divide household expenses, or give gifts to family and friends. These conflicts can be amplified during the holiday period. With the continuous rise in the cost of living, such as the increase in housing prices, educational costs, and medical expenses, some families may find themselves in financial difficulties. Economic pressure can create anxiety and insecurity in couples, leading to arguments and thoughts of divorce. Additionally, some couples may have conflicts due to instability in their jobs or large income differences, which can also escalate during the Chinese New Year. Moreover, the fast-paced work environment and busy schedules are also significant reasons for the emotional distance between couples. In modern society, people face increasingly high work pressures, with overtime and business trips becoming common. Couples often neglect each other's feelings because of work, lack of communication, and interaction. Long periods of separation and a lack of interaction gradually weaken the emotional bond between them. Although there is a short reunion during the Chinese New Year, it can also lead to arguments over trivial matters, such as dividing household chores or raising children, potentially even resulting in divorce. Additionally, some couples may be emotionally unstable due to work pressure, bringing their work emotions home, which intensifies family conflicts. Furthermore, other factors also influence the stability of marriage, such as the interference of third parties, which can break trust between spouses and cause the relationship to collapse. In modern society, people face more temptations, and some couples may betray each other due to external temptations. Moreover, some couples may have differences regarding the education of their children, which can become a trigger for divorce. With changes in ideas about education, couples may have different views and expectations about raising their children, which can intensify marital conflicts. Furthermore, with the implementation of new marital laws regulating issues like asset division, some couples may reconsider their marital relationship due to dissatisfaction or concerns over the division of assets. Specifically, the post-holiday divorce wave can also be attributed to the effect of the holiday. During the Chinese New Year, some people may return from other cities to spend the holiday at home and use the period to handle their divorce. Since the Civil Affairs Department and other government agencies are often on holiday during the break, some couples may choose to formalize their divorce once the holiday ends. As the divorce process requires waiting in line, some people, in order to speed up the procedure, arrive early at the Civil Affairs Department, which results in an overload at divorce registration offices after the holiday. It is worth noting that divorce has a profound impact on both spouses, children, and society. For the spouses, divorce means not only the dissolution of personal relationships and the reorganization of finances, but also emotional trauma and financial pressure. Divorce can lead to loneliness and discouragement for the spouses, affecting even their work and daily lives. For children, parental divorce can cause psychological trauma and disruptions, affecting their growth and development. Children may feel insecure, anxious, or disturbed due to their parents' divorce, which can affect their school performance and social relationships. For society, the increasing divorce rate may reflect changes in views on marriage and family responsibilities. These changes can trigger other social problems, such as an increase in juvenile crime and domestic violence. We should not simply blame one side or one factor when facing this wave of divorces. We must analyze the causes and impacts from various perspectives and take appropriate measures to address the situation.
In 2024, the number of marriages in China was 6.1 million, while the number of divorces was 2.62 million. For women who have never married, it's likely they were elevated by capital and then discarded. Similarly, many of those who divorced were probably deeply influenced by toxic motivational speeches. What I'm about to discuss can be freely challenged in the comments. However, this is not about a war between men and women, but rather about helping you break free from the control of capital, thus strengthening your families. When it comes to happiness at home, many women often say, "You can't give me money, you can't give me love, you can't give me a stable life." Then, from a man's perspective, he could also ask, "If I already have money, love, and a full, stable life, then why do I need you?" Marriage shouldn't just be about demands. I want this, I want that. We're not talking about a relationship between a human and a pet. Marital happiness can be built by both partners. In the process of living together, Women should use their wisdom to achieve what they desire. The second point is the idea that women have children for men but don't receive anything in return. But is having children something done exclusively for men? This is a ridiculous paradox. After all, doesn't the child call you mom? Can't the child bring you happiness? Won't the child take care of you in your old age? Does the child only recognize the father and ignore the mother? The third point is the belief that women contribute unconditionally to the family, while men do not. But what does it really mean to contribute unconditionally? Does this unconditional concept simply mean that you want the man to follow your rhythm, doing everything your way? Is that really unconditional? Don't men have the right to their own will? Must they blindly obey your orders? The foundation of marriage is mutual respect. First, you have to see your partner as a person, not as a money-printing machine. Don't try to change anyone's mindset, and don't take yourself too seriously. What is marriage, after all? It's about each person fulfilling their role. When women's perspectives are distorted by empty motivational speeches, they end up becoming victims of their own frustration, complaining on the internet about how they were used and discarded. But do you really think those who preach these inspirational messages understand everything about life? Do you think they embody the true wisdom of the world? The truth is, they just give you excuses for your failures and point fingers at others for your problems. They only fuel your anxiety. They won't teach you how to properly cope with pressure. They just encourage your anger, making you believe you've awakened to a new reality. And in the end, you say you're tired, leave the marriage, live your whole life alone, swearing that everything was the men's fault. But in the end, who broke the promise of sharing life together? It was you. And the capital? It simply uses these strategies to make you consume more and more. It's as simple as that.
What was the reason for your divorce? Let's listen to the heartfelt words of these divorced women. No one willingly gives up a stable life to become a divorced woman. Once a woman gets divorced, it's often because she has completely lost hope in both marriage and her partner. What is marriage? A couple works hard to build a life together, but what if one of them is not truly committed? Would you still want to stay and live with that person? We all enter marriage full of hope, believing that we will have a happy life together. But once we're actually married, we sometimes feel overwhelmed by the daily struggles of maintaining a household. So, what exactly is marriage? Why do people who fought so hard to get married end up having to divorce? Why do we finally check off one of life's biggest milestones, only to find ourselves right back where we started? We all want to find someone who truly loves us, to spend a lifetime together and raise children. But sometimes it feels incredibly difficult. Finding a soulmate who truly understands and cares for you seems almost impossible. One of my close friends has been feeling very troubled lately because her mother keeps pressuring her to get married. She resents it and finally snapped, yelling at her mother, "Mom, do you really want me to get married that badly? Do you think it's more shameful to stay single or to marry the wrong person and end up divorced?" Her mother fell silent, unable to respond. After all, more than anything, she wanted her daughter to be happy. And that's exactly why people refuse to settle for just any marriage. They want to marry for love, because if they end up with the wrong person, what happens if they get divorced? Rather than enduring loneliness within a marriage, wouldn't it be better to keep searching for true love? At least then, there's a greater chance of happiness. We all want to have a good marriage, not a miserable wedding day that leads to an unhappy life. With that in mind, I interviewed several divorced women to hear their stories and understand the real reasons behind their divorces. The first is Miss Lynn, 25 years old. Her husband brought his mother along on their honeymoon. Our reason for divorcing was quite bizarre, because what he did was just absurd. What upset me the most was that during our honeymoon, he insisted on bringing his mother. I was an only child, raised with a lot of love and care, and I always respected his mother. But I never imagined he would prioritize her over our time together as newlyweds. Our relationship was already not that strong, and after frequent arguments, we had nothing left to say to each other. So we got divorced. Luckily, we didn't have children and I'm still young so I can remarry. But I've already been divorced once,
So next time, I won't take marriage so lightly. The second is Miss Wei, 30 years old. Her husband cheated on her. I will never forget the pain he caused me. Even now, I still feel hatred when I think about it. We were childhood sweethearts, together for over 10 years. But 7 years after getting married, he fell for a younger woman. We had a daughter together. Our love story was one of those from school uniforms to wedding dresses romances. But when he betrayed me, it killed something inside me. I couldn't tolerate infidelity. He told me it was just a moment of weakness, and I believed him. I even wanted to see if he would leave that girl after we divorced. But to my surprise, as soon as we separated, he stayed with her. I could never forgive him for his betrayal. It made me lose faith in marriage altogether. The third is Mrs. Chen, 35 years old. She divorced because of her husband's bad habits. My husband had countless bad habits. It wasn't just that he lacked ambition, he was into drinking, gambling, and even worse things. Why would I stay with a man like that? I tried to be patient and forgave him countless times, but he never changed. He treated me like both a servant and a second mother. I couldn't take it anymore. His bad habits slowly destroyed our relationship, and I had no choice but to leave. I had no other option but to start my life over again. The fourth is Miss Wang, 32 years old. She left due to a loveless, sexless marriage. Some people may find it hard to believe, but our marriage had no love. I thought getting married would be the start of a beautiful life, but instead, I found myself trapped in a new kind of misery. There was no love between me and my ex-husband. Even after getting married, we couldn't develop any real affection. We were married for 3 years, but without love, even our intimate life was non-existent. That kind of marriage felt suffocating. I couldn't endure the silence anymore. A marriage without love is just torment for both people. The fifth is Miss Liu, 28 years old. She divorced because of her mother-in-law. Our marriage ended because of my mother-in-law. Living under the same roof as her made everything complicated. I felt helpless, and my husband always took his mother's side. She would say, "If it doesn't work out, just divorce and find someone else." Eventually, we lost all feelings for each other. I didn't want to suffer anymore, so I walked away. The sixth is Mrs. Chiao, 36 years old. She admits it was her fault. I'm the kind of person who cannot live without love. But in my marriage, I felt ignored by my husband. I made a mistake. I fell for another man. When my husband found out, he divorced me immediately. It was my fault, and I have no excuses. This was the price I had to pay. These are the real stories of several divorced women. So, what truly leads couples to divorce? Apart from the obvious deal breakers like domestic violence or infidelity, many marriages end simply because the love fades away. We always say we should marry for love, and that's true. In marriage, love is essential. When love is present, even after arguments, couples find ways to overcome their differences. But without love, any small conflict can quickly break the relationship apart. When love is gone, even compromise feels impossible. A loveless marriage is like a pile of loose sand. It will collapse at any moment. So, in the end, we must choose wisely before entering marriage. Marriage is not easy. Besides love, responsibility is just as important. Both partners must adapt to their roles for a marriage to be truly happy and fulfilling. Today's discussion: what led to the end of your marriage? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments.
The year is 2025, and the lines at the Civil Affairs departments after the Chinese New Year reveal an unsettling truth. The divorce rate is skyrocketing, with the post-90s generation in China reaching an impressive 57%. But this is not an isolated phenomenon. It's an echo of what we see around the world. The Spring Festival, a symbol of unity, is becoming, for many, the time to sever ties. And to understand this, we need to look beyond the statistics and see the forces shaping this change. It's not about blaming anyone, but recognizing that marriage, as an institution, is under global pressure. Modern life, with its exorbitant costs, housing, education, healthcare, weighs heavily on everyone's shoulders. In China, the holiday amplifies these tensions. Family reunions expose inequalities, and comparison becomes a trigger for conflict. Around the world, the pandemic has left scars, with financial and emotional losses still echoing. Add to this the fast-paced work culture, which steals time and erodes the connection between couples, and we have a recipe for instability. But there's something bigger at play. People, both men and women, are redefining what they expect from marriage. It's no longer just about tradition or duty. It's about happiness, partnership, and mutual fulfillment. When that's lacking, divorce is no longer taboo and becomes an option. In China, the new marriage laws and the return to cities after the holiday only make this decision easier. Globally, the search for individual freedom follows the same path. My view is clear. This increase is not a failure, but a sign of transformation. Couples, men included, are saying no to relationships that don't work, and that takes courage. Unlike the past, when people stayed together even if they didn't like each other, enduring constant betrayals, not just in love, but also financially. You wouldn't keep striving to make more money to provide a comfortable life for your family if you didn't love her. It's simple. That's why I'm not against divorce. It's better to separate than to ruin someone else's life, right? However, I do think people need to be completely sure about this decision before making an impulsive choice. Now, I'd like to know your opinion on this topic. Share your point of view on this dilemma in the comments, and if you like the video, give it a like and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this.